calling all educators with a passion for teaching and a health for faith. Get ready for a transformative journey with the Educators with Oil podcast, where host Ronnette Branham is dedicated to helping teachers become better through biblical strategies.
Good evening. If you're joining me live, welcome. And if you're tuning in later, thank you for being here. I'm really glad that you're here. I'm Ronnette Branham, the host of Educators with Oil podcast, a space for educators who want to teach with wisdom, clarity, and integrity without losing themselves along the way. Here, we talk about identity before instruction, discernment over performance, and guarding the oil that sustains your calling. Tonight's episode is entitled Calling Not Compliance, Teaching Without Losing Yourself. And this isn't a loud conversation. It's not urgent. It's not corrective. It's grounding. Remember, it's talking about identity before instruction. So making sure that we know who we are before we even teach in any classroom, in any workshop, before we follow any directive. Who are we? So we want to be grounded in that space. So my hope by the end of this episode, by the end of this time together, you feel more steady than when you started. The Bible says the steps of a good person, it says actually, steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. And what I've learned over time is this: order doesn't always feel efficient. It doesn't always feel efficient, but it's always intentional. So when we are doing whatever we're doing, we make sure we have the intent on being in order, following what the God gives us to do. So that's something that I've learned, that if we want order, the order that comes from God, that it's intentional. We have to intentionally take the time out and follow the directives that He gives. The same way we take time out to follow the directives of our bosses, of our principals, of our administrators, the same way we take that time. So we talked about 3 weeks ago, we talked about educators are not tired because of hard work, not because of so much to do that we have to do. That's not why we're tired. We're weary because we're being asked to comply. We're being asked to comply in places where we're originally called to. We're originally called to someplace. We shouldn't have to comply to anything. If we're called to that, we follow what God tells us to do, and we'll be good. But we're stressing out because we're trying to follow what the directives that may be in conflict. I know I talk about that cognitive dissonance, where to do one thing, but you're doing something else, and then you feel that conflict within you. So that is something that causes us to be tired and weary and stressed. That is absolutely what that is. That weariness doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. So when you get tired, it doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It doesn't mean you're ungrateful, because, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean you're resistant. Sometimes we feel like, if I'm grateful for this job, I shouldn't be upset about it. I shouldn't feel extra tired for for feeling this way. I shouldn't feel tired on a job that I'm called to, that I'm grateful to. But it's not even that. It's not even that. Sometimes it means that you're perceptive. You're perceptive. You can feel something different. Something's going on that is a little different than it should be. That's why you might feel tired. You actually are. When you are in cognitive dissonance, you should feel tired. You should feel like something is wrong. Something's out of place. something is out of alignment. That's what it is actually. So something in you recognizes the difference, that this is something that shouldn't be. You recognize the difference between doing what's required and working in alignment. You're going to feel that pull, right? When you're out of alignment, even if you haven't had the language for that, but you didn't know cognitive dissonance. I just learned that a few years ago, that word, and now I understand. How sometimes you have this feeling, you have this pull in you, but you don't really have the words for it. But now we do. We understand, if we know we should be in one place or doing one thing, that our beliefs, our values are in another place or in that place, but we're doing something else. And that's when you feel that weariness, because you're fighting against yourself, actually, right? Sometimes it's not even that big thing. Like we think, like our principals told us. I watched the show. It was so funny, but it was serious. It's something that actually happened in another state that I know, and I remember it. I followed it, where they had this erasure party where they were erasing tests. And so this is a big one that is like right in your face, but sometimes it's a little thing. They were erasing test grades, on standardized tests, and they were putting in correct grades, saying they're competing against other schools, other districts. So it was like that pull, to do another thing, but you can't continue in that way. So you feel that fight within you, and that does wear on you. That does wear you out. So most of the times it's not that. It's that we're complying when we should be in our calling. When we're in a class, I was um, working on another workshop, and it talks about, um, are you reaching that child? What does that child need, as opposed to what the directives say? So that is like a pull. It may be not as big a pull of you cheating on tests, but it is pulling it. It's like a constant wear. So when calling slowly gets replaced by compliance, educators don't usually fall apart. So you're not going to fall apart, because it's not something big. It's something little things happening at the same time. Instead of falling apart, you might fade, quietly, professionally, still capable, still committed, right? Still capable, still committed, but disconnected from yourself. That's that weariness that you get, right? So you feel a little bit disconnected than you used to feel. You went in and you were happy, you're working, you're like, this God called me to this. I'm going to meet these needs of these students. Um, something about I'm going to meet these needs of these students. So tonight we're just going to go in and we're going to name that tension. I just named it. So we're going to name that tension, not to fight the system, because you're not going to work to fight the system, not to vent, but to bring clarity. We just want to bring clarity in what we're doing, why we're doing it, what's happening within us as we work, in our classrooms. So we're going to slow down and define, what I mean. I'll slow down a little bit. Compliance is system centered. It's system centered. It's rooted in policy. It's sustained by oversight. Like somebody's coming in to look and make sure you checked all the boxes. It's so funny. I was in a meeting yesterday. We're changing something that we're doing at school. Another policy. Remember we talked about things change whenever you get new administration. Things are going to change, but you shouldn't change. You should still be who you are, no matter what, right? But so I was in this meeting. It was a little training, right? And I don't know what the training was that they had for the entire school, but because I had to leave, I had my training in the middle of the day. And so the woman, she kept saying, yeah, we're doing this because they told us to. We're doing this because you have to. This is what the district says you have to do. But really, what's happening is you're doing this to meet the needs of the student. And I don't know, she said that so many times, and I'm not understanding. So why are you telling us that? Why are you telling us we're doing this because this district tells us to assess these students in this manner? Doesn't make sense to me. We understand that the district changes things and it doesn't even matter, but we do understand that we're assessing the students so we can meet their needs. Every teacher understands that. If you don't understand that, maybe you're new and you just think I should follow along. But every teacher understands you're assessing a student to see where they are along a continuum or whatever it is, and according to grade level standards. If they're meeting, they're exceeding, if they're falling behind, whatever. We understand that. But she said right before she gave us the real reason that we were doing performing, administering these assessments, she would say, I understand your district is telling you to do this. This is why we're doing it, but this is what's happening. Like is as if behind the scenes, you're really assessing where the student is so you can teach the student. That it didn't make sense to me, but that's what we're talking about. That policy, that oversight. You know, the you have to ask, are they watching me? Are we checking off these boxes? You know, they're saying, did you follow the directives? I went around that to say, have someone ask you, did you follow the directives? You know, that's a lot. You know, and compliance is not bad because systems need structure. We know that. You can't just do everything willy-nilly, you know, every teacher doing their own thing. No, you need structure. Absolutely need structure. You need a program that you're going to follow. But underneath that, there's something else that's needed from you, from inside you, that directives that the system can't dictate. So that's just something that So compliance, it was never meant to carry meaning. You know, it's not supposed to say she's following the directives step by step. That makes her a great person. That makes him a great person. She missed some things, or he missed some things, so they're a terrible teacher. No, it's not meant to. It's not meant to grade you in that manner. It's meant to keep us a certain order and things, because you like I said, you need that structure, right? So it's not meant to carry meaning. Calling is different. Calling is different. Calling is person centered as opposed to system centered, policy system centered. It's rooted in identity. Who are you in this place? Who are you in this classroom? Before you get in this classroom, who are you? That is calling, right? It's sustained by purpose. Who am I? Why am I here? Who am I? Why am I here? And what can I become? You know, what can become of what I am doing? So it's that centered, purpose centered. Calling asks, did you serve the child well? Did you serve the child well? That's what you're calling. When you get ready to leave your classroom, it's not about I got through science, I got through social studies, I got through literacy, got through writing, right? I got through reading. It's not that. It's not checking off the math. I made sure I had the learning styles. I did everything according to the learning styles in my classroom. No, it's did I serve those children well? Did I meet this child? Did I leave this one behind? That's what it is, because that's what's going to haunt you. That's going to bother you, as if you're not even serving the child. I talk about this a lot, where I decided to follow my schedule to the letter, right? And that's what I'm doing. Follow to the letter. And guess what? It doesn't leave room for that child. It doesn't. It doesn't leave room for that child at all. It is, you follow this, you open up with your reading, you go to the rug, you read the story, you discuss it, whatever it is, and you give them prompts to do something during small group. You meet the children in small group. That's when you really help the students in small group. But then it's time for phonics, and then you got to go into writing, and then you got to go into science, and then it's time to take the kids to their special, right? And then lunch, and then you come back to math, and then it's social studies. There's no time. You're like, the students are coming. I don't understand. Well, it's time to move on. It's time to move on. So that is that compliance, following it. My students are asking me, where's our brain break? We have a brain break, Miss Brown. We have a brain break. We don't have time for a brain break because we're following the schedule. The schedule doesn't even have room for a brain break. I don't know what you want. I want you to have a brain break. I don't have room for it. People coming there saying kids can't play all day. Yeah, but sometimes they need to play. Sometimes they need you. So, did you serve that child well? That's just what it is. Compliance shapes behavior. It shaped that behavior on me. Like this, follow this, follow this, follow this. Right? Calling shapes being. Who am I? I know I need the students to have a break. So I am. I made up my mind just now, right now, because I said that too many times and it feels bad. That's that cognitive dissonance, right? Feels bad. They need a break. You're working them so hard, following this schedule. But somewhere around 10:30, they need to stop and relax and breathe, right? So who am I going to be? I'm going to be somebody who serves that child well, somebody who's in compliance. I'm just saying, that's what tomorrow I made my mind. Tomorrow's an early dismissal. So I don't know about tomorrow, but Thursday, right? Tension shows up when we confuse the two, that compliance and that calling. We confuse it. It's not there, compliance. So that means I'm great. I'm fantastic because I'm following everything they tell me to do. No, that's not how you judge it if you're following your calling or not. Absolutely not. When compliance becomes the measure of goodness, when feedback feels personal, when approval starts to feel like safety, that's when you know that you're confusing the two, right? Feedback, they give you feedback. Did you meet these? Did you check off these boxes? Oh, she saw I didn't have up that chart, right? We got stuck with that chart. Questions start coming. Conversations got away from us. We didn't get a chance to put up that chart, right? We didn't get to build that chart as the lesson says, right? But it was something else was more important and more pressing at that time, right? When approval feels like safety, oh yeah, I feel good now. I'm not even worried about anything because I got a 3.5. I got a 4.0 on my evaluation. So I'm good. That's like my safety net. That's not just safety net. Things change all the time. Like I said, how many superintendents have I had since I've been in this district? And I only been there, I haven't even been there 10 years. And we have several superintendents. We have several supervisors of different what do they call different content areas. Several literacy. Oh my goodness, how many literacy supervisors we had since I've been in that school in this school district? So many. So you can't count that as safety. There's no way you can count that as safety because this week you're happy because you're following. I was so excited we had this program and I loved it and I can do it. I could teach it. I can follow it and my students were learning from it. They changed it. I got excited. We had it for 3 years. Like I got so excited it was gone. There's no safety in that. There's no safety there, right? It's not. So we have to not confuse the two. This is an alignment. That's survival. You're not here to survive. You're definitely not here to survive. Be in survival mode at all the time. Let me follow this because I have to survive. Scripture reminds us many are the plans in a person's heart, but it's the Lord's purpose that prevails. Purpose doesn't disappear because a system exists, right? No, it doesn't at all. No, it's not going to. So just watch that survival mode because that could happen, right? Systems are designed to measure, we know that, standardize and evaluate. That's what a system is there for, to measure. How many people are following this? What's happening when you do this, right? Are the students advancing, right? That kind of stuff. Evaluate if this teacher is in compliance, or not in compliance, right? That's it's to evaluate us. Educators are designed to discern. That's what we're to do. Relate and adapt to humanity. That there's people involved here. And that's what you are. What does this child need right now in this place? That's what we're here to do, right? The problem begins when feedback turns into self-definition. Oh my God, uh I got this score that's not great that I'm not happy with. Now I feel so bad, right? And I don't feel how do I think my administration feels about me? They feel something different about me, how does that make me feel? What am I feel? What am I feeling? What am I thinking now? What are they thinking about me? Right? Uh, metrics become meaning, right? We don't want that. And shifting expectations starts to feel like moral judgments when they start expecting different things from you, right? Then it feels like they're judging you, because I can't do this. I'm not able to follow it like that. Like for instance, when I keep going back to it because I had it for a while now. The DLI classroom where the students didn't even speak English, and I had to teach in English, and it was hard to teach because who am I talking to? Why? What am I saying? Who understands me? How many of them understand what I'm saying? So then you're judging me based off how I educate these students according to your measures, but your measures don't match these students. So that's a problem, right? So I feel bad. I feel like they're judging me. Like I'm not a great person because I can't follow. When a score feels heavier than your calling, when an observation feels like your worth, when flexibility starts to feel like faithfulness. Oh man, I'm flexible. Whatever they tell me to do, I got it. So I'm just a faithful person. Come on, stop playing. That's not what it is at all. Scripture tells us, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. Even in systems, discernment still matters. It still absolutely matters. That's what you have to discern. If I follow this, am I going to serve these children well? Right? That's just what it is. That's one of my favorite scriptures, Proverbs 3, 5 through 6. That's often where educators begin to lose themselves. Not all at once, but gradually. That's what's happening. Because you're going to try to be flexible, try to value yourself based off how you follow directives, right? You're going to want to meet the score that they want you to have, all that. If you follow your calling, probably 9 times out of 10, you're going to knock it out the box. How? You don't lose yourself in dramatic ways. We're not going to be like, I'm walking in the building and, oh my God, I'm just about to pass out because I just lost myself. I don't know who I am. Nah, you lose yourself in small agreements. You never stopped. You never stopped to examine little things that you're agreeing to. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, we had some people came in during our lunchtime and had a little meeting, a little training. Like what? And it was agreed to. We agreed to it. I was upset because I wasn't in there. I'm like, why are you in here? Everybody in here knows they shouldn't be in here, right? And just agreed to it and complied. Like what? You don't feel right because that's little things that are happening. Then the next time here they come during your break, during your lunch, right? It just is like, come on, why did I agree to that? And I don't even want to. So the more and more you do it, the more and more you feel like not yourself. The more and more you do it, it's just, I don't know how else to describe it. Little by little, you follow these agreements, you agree to these things, and then where are you? You lose yourself when you quiet your discernment to avoid conflict. Like I just said, I was in that meeting and I said, well, I don't know how to do that, right? This is lunch. 2 administrators in there giving like directions, no good and well, this shouldn't be, right? And in our lunch, and I was like, I don't know how to do it. And somebody gave me pushback. And then I was just like, whatever. Nah, that's not right. I don't want to have conflict. I don't want to be that one. Well, we all should have been that one. We should have been them. Right? We should have been the real them. Right? We should have. Right? We treat feedback as identity now because I said I want to say no. If I say no, and it causes me to think there's going to be conflict, right? Now it's like, oh, I don't want to be that one. So now I'm identifying myself as that one that has conflict always. No, because you're not doing right. So now I feel like they think this of me. No, start losing yourself little by little. You assume flexibility always equals virtue. Okay, I'm flexible. I can have. I did this actually. I did this yesterday. Had training on my prep. That was fine because I could have stayed afternoon. I needed that training, but it went long. So I said, okay, I have to get my students. Let me take them to lunch and I'll come right back. I don't know if that counts because I needed to do that. I didn't need to do that because I ran out of time. I ran out of time, right? But it was my lunch. So I should have said I have to go. But I don't know if that counts because that was for me. And they agreed. Like, I don't know if that counts because they didn't ask me. If they had asked me, then I probably would have said no. But I needed to understand what it was that needed. Even though I had it already, but she wanted to give a demo. And so I said, okay, I'll come back after my lunch. I just did it, right? And you edit your instincts just to stay acceptable. Like you're like, now this is not right. Or I shouldn't do this. I need to help this child right now. We got to stop class right now. Hold up and let's get into what we're doing, right? And then little by little when you edit it. So you're still teaching, you're still caring, you're still doing your best, but sometimes it feels thinner. You feel thinner. You feel like I'm not this strong, who I am, who I know I should be, who I could be, right? I don't know about should, who I could be, because what I'm doing is trying to avoid conflict, be flexible, all that kind of stuff, right? So the thinning isn't burnout. It's what do we talk about? It's misalignment. We're not in alignment. We're not in alignment with our calling. We're trying to line up with something that's outside of us, a system that we really should not be lining up with. Here we talk about oil. Oil is quiet. Oil sustains. Oil isn't rushed. It's none of that, right? It's not rushed. Oil represents oil represents what is sacred about your work. Remember, your work is sacred. You're called to it. The part of you that cannot be standardized. It can't be standardized. You can't check off some boxes because today it might not be that, right? That part that senses when something is off, even before you have words for it. So, for instance, I have some students who are not capable of working on the math, right? That we have. Our second grade math. There's not even last year. Let's say last year. Last year. It wasn't even a differentiation in the lesson. No, we had to go back and grab a whole other book. And that sounds like special. Special ed will have K to 2, K to 3, like K to 2 and then 3 to 5 or something in their classrooms, right? It's not even that because I'm not supposed to have kindergarten, first grade, and second grade books teaching out of that in my class. It's expected. And then I'm like, no, I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to differentiate. I'm not supposed to teach a whole other math lesson. No. So, that's what happens. We have to know something is off even before we have words for it, but we know something's off. We know it's not right. The word reminds us to guard our heart, for everything you do flows from it. Guarding your oil is stewardship. And I don't know if I said it last week or the week before, my word for this year, 2026, is steward. And I'm trying to be a great steward over whatever God has given me authority over. And that's our heart. We have to steward our heart. We have to guard our heart against things that are against what we know we should be working on. Oil runs low when you're constantly pouring into systems that don't know how to pour back. Like I said, you're coming in our lunch and giving us a workshop. I mean, not a workshop, a training. You did it on purpose. You purposely went. You could have waited till our lunch was over. No, you couldn't because we had classes. Then you could have came to our preps, right? You could have did that. No, you came right to our lunches, and that's just not, you know, they're not pouring back to us. They're taking it. We're pouring, giving ourselves. You never you were never called to disappear into your assignment. Like you go into class, you don't even see the teacher. You're called to bring yourself to it, not to disappear into an assignment. It's not so how it's supposed to be. We all know that. You should go in every single class. I don't care if they're teaching the same exact thing, the same exact way, verbatim. You should be able to see that teacher identify that educator in that class as who they are, not they look exactly the same like Stepford wives. You should not see you should never see Stepford wives alone in all these classrooms. I've seen it, so I understand what that is in a classroom. And like I said, I seen it, and I saw one teacher who was different. She brought herself to it, and that was just amazing to me. So let's name the costs without blame. I think I was kind of blaming. Was kind of blaming? Wasn't blaming. I was explaining, right? Overcompliance often leads to moral fatigue, creative shrinkage. You're not creative as you could be. You're just getting less and less creative because you're following the whole pattern of what they say to do. Quiet resentment. Now you're resenting. Hope I'm not resenting. Lord, forgive me. I just was using that example because I'm good, right? I know next time. That's what it is. I know next time. He's like, hold up now. First asking me, right? Ask me, can I use my lunch? Ask me, can you come in and discuss something? Don't just sit down. Come in and sit down. Don't do that, right? A loss of joy, because then you start thinking this is what's happening. This is not cool. You start to second guess yourself, right? You feel restless, but you can't even explain why. You don't even know why you feel restless. Like this is something's going on. I don't even know, right? You're faithful but not fulfilled. You're like, this job it used to be so fulfilling, and I don't know why, because you're giving into small agreements over time, small agreements over time, and most educators assume the answers. I stopped and looked because I don't know if I'm freezing, because it seems like something's happened. I forgot to tell my grandson don't be on the internet. I forgot that. And it seems like I'm freezing. I hope I'm not. If I am, I'm sorry. I forgot to tell him, right? Uh, many many educators assume the answer is to try harder. You can never try harder into something. You can never do that. You can't try harder into something. But trying harder doesn't fix misalignment. It doesn't. It usually deepens it. Usually deepens that misalignment. Trying harder, working harder. Let me see what it is that I need to be doing. Right. This isn't rebellion. I'm not telling you anybody to rebel against the administration. It's discernment. See what it is you need to do. Right. That's just it. Right. It's just what it is. I'm sorry. Um, Discernment allows you to honor policy without internalizing it. You can honor it, follow, like I said, follow the curriculum the way it is laid out, do what you're supposed to do, but don't take it inside like this is it. This is the only thing that I can do. I can't deviate. No, don't do that. Comply without surrendering yourself. You don't have to surrender yourself by uh doing what they ask you to do. And separate instruction from identity. Make sure you know what you're teaching is not who you are. You know, that is what you're doing. It's not who you are. at all. Don't even think that's what it is. It's not. Discernment quietly says, I hear the directive, but it doesn't define me. I'm fine doing what they tell me, but that's not me, right? Um, in faith language, it's called wisdom. I'm just using wisdom as I educate my students, right? In professional language, it's alignment, right? Scripture says the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable. If something consistently costs your peace, right? If it consistently costs your peace, it deserves discernment. So you gonna have to see if this, am I following the directive? Is it costing my peace? By me doing whatever everybody else is doing, is it costing my peace? Because that could happen. That could happen. Oil teaches you when to pour, when to pause, and when to protect what's sacred, right? It just does. You can teach from calling inside of a system. So you can be who you are inside the system. Don't trip. You don't need permission to remain whole. I don't have to ask you, can I be me? I don't have to ask you, can I stop right here and pause? This is a teachable moment. I don't have to ask you permission for that. There's no way I have to ask you for that, right? I'm not going to lose myself. I'm not going to lose myself. You can meet expectations without being emotionally owned by those expectations, right? You can follow procedures without losing your voice. You can adjust without abandoning yourself. You absolutely can. I can do it. I do it. I'm not. Doesn't make sense. I'm trying it today. I got a little off. What I was trying to follow something step by step, and then one of the steps was, it didn't even have what I needed, so I had to stop and had to find something to fit that. It didn't match, so I had to find something. I can do that. I'm not tripping, going step by step for something. I'm not going to do it. I'm not. I just can't. Right? You can adjust. You can adjust. Calling doesn't resist structure. You have to have structure. You have to have a program, an order of things. You have to have that. You just can't willy nilly. I'm going to teach science right now at 10 o'clock. Tomorrow I'm going to teach social studies at 10 o'clock. Next day I'm going to teach math. I don't care. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm not feeling this right now, so let me close this up. I'm not saying that could never happen, but no, you have to have structure. Your students need structure. They need to know what's happening when. They need to be able to look up on their schedule and say, oh, this is this. Unless you say, we're not going to have time today to get to that, so we're going to move this over here, right? I know I had to do that with science a couple of times because I had to prepare, because things that I had to get together, I didn't have it. So, okay, let's do social studies now. But no, that's not an everyday occurrence. No, it's not going to be, right? Calling doesn't resist structure. It absolutely does not. It simply refuses to be defined by it. You're allowed to be thoughtful in systems that prefer speed. Oh, so yeah, I don't have to stop. I don't have to keep on going when a person has a need right then and there. I don't have to. I can't send you to the nurse right now. You got to hold that up. Right? Vomit a little bit later, right? Because I don't have time for that. You know, I don't have time. We gotta move. We gotta keep it moving, right? You're allowed to be human in systems that prefer metrics. Yeah, they're measuring you. They're measuring you by time. They're measuring you by uh the words that you say. They're measuring you by the content. They're measuring you by the high level questioning or low level question. They're measuring you by that, right? You're allowed to stay grounded even when everything feels reactive. You're reacting to what they told you to do. You're allowed to be you no matter what, man. This is something that we just have to know. That has a time. Oh no, it doesn't. Okay, I'm sorry. So as we close, I'll leave you with one question. Not to answer right now, not to solve tonight, just to hold. Where have you been compliant and not aligned? And what might it look like to teach from calling again, quietly, faithfully, without performing? I'll ask that one more time. Where have you been compliant but not aligned? And what might it look like to teach from calling again, quietly, faithfully, without performing? That's the thing. Compliance may keep systems running. It will. It will keep the system running. But calling keeps you alive, keeps educators alive. It absolutely does. It keeps you vibrant walking in your calling. It absolutely does. Guard your oil, teach with wisdom, and remember, alignment is not disobedience. Thank you for being here. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And when I say share with another educator, because this absolutely was something to think about today. This was something, and we're in a series, a 90-day plan that I have, where we're talking the overall thing. This is the theme of the show from now on until something else is, I discern something else. That identity comes before instruction. Know who you are before you walk in that classroom, right? Know who you are before you change grades, before you change teaching content areas, before you change schools. Know who you are, walk in that, and everything else will fall in line. Thank you, and have a blessed rest of your day. Hi, how are you, Hazel? Thanks for joining me. I see a few more people came in, so I admonish you to catch the replay. Thank you, and have a blessed rest of your day.
Subscribe to Educators with Oil podcast on your preferred platform and join Ronnette on this mission to empower teachers through the wisdom of the Bible. Because when biblical strategies meet the classroom, extraordinary teaching happens.
Educators, let's shine a light on our classrooms. See you on Educators with Oil podcast, where teaching and faith unite.